Hello, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to review inputting prior settings data into Infinite Campus while you're completing the K-Screen implementation for the 2021-2022 school year. The first thing you'll want to do when starting this process is go ahead and log into Infinite Campus and pull up the student information for the student you're wanting to enter early learning and prior settings for. In just a moment, I'm going to pull up our Infinite Campus staging site with an example of what screen you'd like to arrive at. Our staging site uses artificially generated student information and does not use real student information. All the information you'll see displayed on the video today is not a real student. So let's go ahead and pull that staging site up so you can follow along with me. Now we've arrived at a student's page. Generally, when you arrive at the page, you will see the Summary tab. The Summary tab has a student's basic information accessible, such as birth date, home address, SSID, and basic demographic information. The tab we're looking for is the Early Learning Prior Settings tab. It's important to note many of us will have a different number of tabs available to us that was set up at the discretion of your local Infinite Campus administrator. The tab you should have enabled to complete the K-Screen process is the Early Learning Prior Settings tab. Let's go ahead and click on the Early Learning Prior Settings tab and see where that takes us. Once you've clicked on that tab, this screen should appear before you. The first thing you're going to want to do is click Add Early Learning or Prior Setting. If the student is a retained student and a repeat kindergartner, you should see at least one prior setting information listed below. Let's go ahead and add some early learning and prior settings for this student. So we'll click the Add Early Learning Prior Settings button. Next, we're going to click on the drop-down menu for Type. You'll notice in just a second that there are 12 different types. Those 12 different types are state-funded preschool, out-of-state state-funded preschool, Head Start, out-of-state Head Start, child care, out-of-state child care, home, private sitter, kin care or family care, therapy, other, and then additionally this year, we will be adding kindergarten. The kindergarten option is to be used for retained kindergarten students who will also be participating in the K-Screen implementation for this coming school year. When you click an option such as state-funded preschool, Head Start, or child care, you should have multiple names pre-populate for you and you should be able to search for them. Let's go ahead and click state-funded preschool for mine. Now that we've clicked state-funded preschool, there's a drop-down box, and you can also type in the information of the school that the student attended. So you can go ahead and type that in. As you can see, a pre-populated list occurs. Look in that pre-populated list for where the student attended, and then click on that option. If you click on or don't find an option that's pre-populated for your student, that means we have not input that childcare facility into Infinite Campus. In the event of that happening, you can email me directly, ben.riley@education.ky.gov, and let me know the name of the facility, the address of the facility that the parent provided, and if possible, any other information such as a license number, if available, or any other critical information like if the facility has recently moved. We'll go and figure that information out and input it into Infinite Campus for you and let you know when that's completed. The next thing to do is make sure there is a complete address. And if it is a state-funded preschool, you would see in place of the license number in this situation, a district and school code. But typically you'll want to see a license number or district or school code filling in this number right here. Next, you'll want to select a start date. In most situations, the year before began in August or September of that year, and the year ended in May or June of that year. Once you've input the accurate date information, any comments you feel necessary, feel free to input those as well. And then finally, you click Save. Once you've clicked Saved, you will see the student's information in front of you. It'll have the type, the name of the facility, and the location of the facility, as well as a start date and end date to indicate that the information is complete. If you'd like to be sure that the information was entered, simply reload the summary page and then reload the early learning prior settings page. And that will indicate to you that the information was completely saved into Infinite Campus. Please note too, when you're entering this information into Infinite Campus, that you only need to account for the year prior to the student being in that kindergarten classroom. So for a retained student, which is required to have information entered this year, you would in that case have at least 2 pieces of early learning prior setting information input. The first would be the previous year's information of what facility they attended, or if they had kin care, a home sitter, or were cared for at home. And then you would have kindergarten as the second entry for the next year prior. All other students should only have 1 year prior of information entered into the early learning and prior settings page. If you have any questions or need further assistance on inputting information into the student page, please feel free to email me and contact me. I'd be happy to work with you in making sure everything's taken care of. Have a wonderful day.